Hello guys, welcome again to another amazing tutorial of Innovative Creative Solutions. In the first part of OBS Studio, I explained how you can configure OBS for the first time. In this time, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can understand better the scenes, the sources, filters, things like that for you to start producing your first online live streaming event or presentation. So stay tuned. Hi, this is Juan Carlos Tafur from Innovative Creative Solutions, innovative and personalized video solution services to help you and your company to communicate better. If you are here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep updated yourself on the things that I've been doing here every week. Also, in the description box below, you can find information that is going to be useful for you and your future live streaming events. So stay connected and let's start. Alright, now we are here to explain how the scenes and sources and filters work for the first time. But before you do that, you need to understand the whole thing, how everything works and how everything is set up before I start doing my first presentation. On the next video, I'm going to explain how you can start doing the actual presentation, putting graphics, animations and everything for you to start live streaming online. In this occasion, I'm going to explain just the process on how you can start adding the first scene, the first source, filters, how you can do the transitions, things like that. So let's keep it up. On right here, we have this main window. In this case, I have already created my first scene to show my camera, but I'm going to start from scratch. So in this point, I'm going just to delete this part. So it's nothing here. So you can see from the beginning what I'm doing. In OBS Studio, you must have always a scene right here in this window. If you want to delete this one, OBS is not going to allow you to do it. So you better start thinking about every time you're creating scenes that you must have one scene right here all the time. So in this case, I'm going just to leave this as it is and I'm going to call it just test. This is going to be just an explanation of how you can work with scenes and sources. If I want to start bringing and capturing my DSLR camera image, I just go here and there's two different options. I can either do the right mouse click to add by just going into this menu, or I can just click the plus sign button and I can add the video capture device. In this case, I'm going to call this main camera and a new window will pop up. This window is going to show me in this list the different cameras I have available. In this case, I have the camera connected, my DSLR camera, which is a Nikon D7500, connected to my Cam Link 4K, which is the normally process that I use when I'm doing live streaming or connecting online, and my computer camera. Of course, I don't want to use this one. I want to use my Cam Link 4K camera, connected to it, and I click OK. In order for me, and there are many shortcuts that already are set up with OBS Studio from the beginning, in order for you to bring this to the whole size of your screen, if you're a Mac user, just click Command F and it'll enlarge the image for the whole thing. So there are many shortcuts, a few shortcuts that are already preset in OBS Studio, and I'm going to explain a little bit of those later on in the video so you can follow up. Also, you can access those shortcuts or those properties by right mouse click, transform, and you can come here, fit to screen, stretch to screen, center vertically, and so on and so on. So play with this as you go for you to understand each one of these parts. You can access here also the filters and properties. If I go to properties, this shows me the first window that popped up initially for me to select that camera. If I want to change one camera or something, I can just do it from here. So these are just different options I'm giving you for you to understand how you can access different parts of the scenes or the sources. Something that I forgot to mention before, when you want to create a scene, you can also do it the same way. You can either right mouse click on the scenes window and add, and you can name the new scene. Let's just leave it the way it is, scene 2, and I click OK. This will create a totally new scene for me to start populating here information, including images, another camera, whatever I want to do, I can just add it here. If I go back to my previous one, I just click and boom. One thing that you need to also understand, all the names that you create in your scenes and sources are globally in OBS Studio. This means that you cannot name the same scene and the same source using the same name. To give you an example, if you name this test, you cannot name this source right here test, and I'll show you why. Let's say you want to capture or you want to bring an image, and I want to call it test. This is what's happening. It's going to tell me that the name is already used because I'm using the name test in this section already. So think about that every time you're creating your presentations or your online streaming presentations, so that the names that you are using are going to be globally. So if you want to specifically name sources in scenes, to use different names for each one of those. So pay attention to that. Alright, so I have my camera right here, right? And now I show you how you can create your first scene and your first source. If you want to bring another thing right here, let's say an image, and I'm calling this books. Let's say I want to talk about marketing books. I'm going to look for my image that is showing books, and I bring that one in. Alright, so as you can see, if I want to make this one bigger, it's covering my camera. Of course, I don't want that. So in order for me to fix that, you have the options right here to drag and drop and put it right here in front. Think about this as layers. Every layer or every source that you create is going to be on top of the next one. So if you do this, of course, you're going to have the image to be hidden behind the camera. You don't want that either. So you can resize this part and accommodate everything to make it look nice and neat. So that way you can start accommodating each part of your sources and the whole black screen. For some reason, you want to have the camera on top of the image. Let's say you have a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation or a proxy presentation, and you have the camera to be on top of that, you can do it also. So by this, you can also accommodate the order of the sources or the scenes by clicking these two arrows, by going up and down, and the same thing here, up and down. So this is how you can play with that. You can either drag and drop, or you can go up and down with these arrows. There are some shortcuts that you can use to resize, to make it bigger, to make it smaller, to center it, things like that, as I explained before. So if you want to do that, let's say I have my camera right here, right? And I want to occupy the whole black screen. Command F, and that will do it. If I want to come back to my previous, the original size, Command R, and that will be my original size. If I want to stretch this horizontally on my screen, Command S, and that will stretch the whole thing. Let's say you have this image right here, and you want to stretch it. This is how you do it. Command S on your Mac keyboard. If you are a PC user, it'll be Control S. So if I want to move things around and I want to snap this to the edge, I can do it automatically. It does it automatically, and I explain how you can activate this by going into settings. In general settings, and you can select that. If I want to deselect that, I just click Command and it'll deselect that part. So I can accommodate this whatever I want. Alright, so those are the things that you can use because those are already hotkeys that are pre-selected in your in OBS Studio for you to use to make them more to make it faster for you to use it. Or like I explained before, you can also access that by right mouse click, transform, and here are all the different options. Alright, so another thing, let's say for example that you want to hide something from one of your scenes or from one of your sources. You have the little eyes right here. You can hide or show whatever you want by just clicking the little eye icon. You can also secure every part in your scene or every source by just clicking the lock icon. That way nothing moves. In case you have a lot of things going on in your presentation and your scene, you want to lock some things so you don't move things around. Another thing that I want to mention is every time you're creating something, make sure from the beginning you know your base canvas resolution. That is key because every time you're starting using your OBS Studio for the first time, it'll configure itself to the main computer, the main screen you're using. If you don't change that, or you want to change that once you have created your presentation, this is what's going to happen. If I go to settings and I decided to in video change my resolution of my camera and I hit apply, as you can see everything was changed, and then you have to readjust everything. That's why you need to make sure every time you start your presentation online, before you start creating your presentation or start setting things up here, you make sure you have selected the right size for your base canvas, which is the recording part from OBS will do in your screen. This thing is not the same with the output scale resolution. You can change this resolution and nothing will change. If I click a smaller resolution, everything stays the same. So make sure of that. Again, make sure you select the right resolution so you don't have to waste time accommodating everything back. If I put everything the way it was before, everything looks normal again. So just to give you a tip on that. Now I'm going to explain how you can access the filter options. I'm not going to go into detail right now how you can use filters. I will do that on the next video where I'm going to be explaining how you can put some filters on parts of your sources. But in this case, if you want to add filters, right mouse click on your mouse and then filters. And from here you can add filters to your microphone or audio, or filters to your source, your camera or your image or your text or whatever you have created. So you can access it that way. If you want to include filters for your main audio source, which is this one right here, the audio mixer, you can do it by just clicking the little gear icon right here, and you can access the filters here. Then you can add whatever filter you need to. That's how you can access that. Now let's talk about the studio mode. This is important. The studio mode will give you the option for you to split the main screen into two different screens. This one right here on my right is the one that is transmitting online, is the one that is live streaming online and the people is seeing at this moment. This one right here on my left is where I can make changes and nobody will notice that I'm doing those changes. So if I move things around, you can see right here stays the same. But if I move this, let's say I put this in this location and I want to show that, I just click the button transition and boom, it'll show me right now the changes I have made to my previous scene. This is beneficial every time you want to make changes on text or images or something different that you want to include, you can do it this way. This way is good for you to know specifically how you can start changing things before they go online. You can deactivate this by going again, clicking the studio mode and going back like this, and people will start seeing this. Nobody will notice that you're clicking this button right here because this is only in OBS Studio locally in your computer. Nobody is seeing anything else but just this part, the part that is transmitting online. If you want to make your transition smoother, you can go and click here these different options. Let's say I want to change my camera location and I want to fade. You see how nice it looks? I can do this by the same thing right here and going back like that. So I can play with that. The way I can add different transitions, you have 5 different options. You can come here into this, the scene transition. You can come here into the scene transitions. You can come here into this window where it says scene transitions, and you can choose whichever transition you want to apply. So let's say, for example, let's just choose swipe. I can just call it a name or whatever, or I leave it the way it is, and it'll pop up a window, will show me how the transition works. And here I can just preview it. If I like it, I just click OK. If I transition, and then I can add that transition into this menu by just clicking the plus button. I add my new transition, the one that I just created, which is swipe 2. I can change that time here. So let's make a change here to make it visual. You see how smooth and how nice it looks? So this is how you do it. You can add a transition here, then you bring it here into the quick transitions menu by just clicking the plus button, and whatever change you do here, you can just bring it here very nicely. So you can, let's say, again, fade to black, fade again, and you can do a smash or be creative with this. This is in replacement of something that I always recommend to use while you're doing live streaming events or presentations online, or any type of presentation, is to use the Stream Deck from Elgato. It works amazing, but if you don't have it or you cannot afford it right now, you can use it this way. The good thing about OBS Studio, it comes with Hotkey Menu where you can change things. If you go to settings, hotkeys, and you can start putting some hotkeys here. I explained on my previous video how you can start doing that and use this as a video changer. So I have explained how you can start setting up your first scenes, your first sources, how you can use filters, how you can use the studio mode, and how you can use transitions. I hope this video has been beneficial for you, and this will give you a startup on how you can start doing your first presentation. On my next video, I'm going to create my first presentation for you to start working and creating your first online live streaming event. Thank you again for watching my channel, and please don't forget to subscribe to it for you to keep yourself informed about the whole different things that I'm producing here every single week. Also, follow me on my social media channels for you to know more about what I'm doing with my company and things outside. So I hope to see you next time. Bye.